it's becoming useless to me. Useless to me for what we call it. This is useless as a phone. Well, it's not useless as a phone. I'm sure it still works just fine as a phone. The thing is, the phone is useless to me now. The telephone as it was in my youth and in my early formative years and in my adult years up until my dotage, the telephone has been a very, very useful tool in my life, but no more because it's been ruined. Has it been ruined for you? It's been ruined for me. I just changed my voice message on my phone. And you know what my voice message says? My voice message says, I don't answer the phone anymore if I don't recognize your number. And so if you want to get in touch with me, text me, email me, or you can leave a voicemail message. That's if you, of course, if your name is not on my recognized list. Leave a voicemail message and I may get back to you. I'm no guarantee because I don't even check my voicemail as nearly often as I should. And I feel a little bit guilty about it, but it is not my fault. Whose fault is it? I'm going to blame the carriers, the telephone companies. They're an easy target. They're easy to blame. They're ones that I think we can blame. There's certainly a lot they've done wrong. And even if they shouldn't be blamed for this, they've done plenty that the extra blame isn't going to hurt them. But I think it's deserved in this case. How many phone calls do you get that are ridiculous? I mean, we had that issue with telemarketers back in the day, and we were worried about phones, and then we got caller ID, and we were starting to be able to identify who was calling in as far as telemarketers goes, and things got better. But now, 8 out of 10 phone calls that I get, is it a higher percentage? I don't know. Are somebody speaking in a foreign language to me, somebody telling me that they are from my government and that I haven't paid my taxes and that if there's an arrest warrant issued in my name, I actually kind of enjoy those when I get them. They're a lot of fun. Or, hi, I'm Sharon, your Google expert. Would you like to advertise in Google? I don't even know where that one is coming from and how I got on that list, but I get a lot of those. Do you get those? What are the scams and the irritating phone calls that you get the most? I get enough of those that when I look at the number, I do not, you've won a trip. Sometimes it starts with a big foghorn. Gah. You've won a cruise. I get a lot of those too. What do you get the most of? What are the email and the voicemail, not email, the voice call scams that you get? And we're paying for this right now. I can remember when I was concerned about the future of the mail service because we were getting so much junk mail. Remember how you'd go to your mailbox and you'd feel you just turf stuff into the trash? And then that slowed down a little bit. It still happens a fair bit, to be honest, but it slowed down somewhat. And all of a sudden, spam moved into the fax machine. Remember we used to get junk faxes? And then they had the can fax spam laws, and people couldn't send faxes that were spammy and selly anymore, and so that died pretty quickly because there was some serious fines that were attached, and it was very easy to trace them because there was an accountability. There was an audit trail of where the phone call was coming from, and people could get tracked. Those were the good old days. Then came mobile phones, and all of a sudden, people seem to be able to make phone calls from almost any area code, and you can't block them, and they have these kind of burner numbers so that you can't even report them to anyone. And this is a failing of our telcos in Canada, TELUS, and Bell, and Rogers. This is a failing of them. They're being lazy. People are being ripped off and scammed. There's all sorts of nefarious activities that happen, and they prey on the old, and they prey on the people that don't necessarily understand. They prey on the people who consider a phone call to be sacrosanct. If somebody's phoning you, you should answer because it could be something on the other end, and those people are being taken advantage of. Well, I have a feeling that I'm missing important phone calls, and I probably am. But I'm not answering the phone unless I recognize the number. I have just entrenched that in my voicemail. So now what happens? What's going to happen? Am I going to miss something important? I certainly hope not. I certainly hope that I've got everybody who I know on my list. You better not have caller ID blocked if you're my friend, because there's no way I'm going to answer the number. But it makes me wonder about the future of the phone. Because increasingly, I do voice calls not on phone, but I do them on Facebook Messenger. We can have a long conversation about that in the future. But I do them by Skype. I do them by Zoom. We use a whole bunch of new tools now for voice calls. And instead of using my mobility package, I use my data package. If I'm talking to one of my team members in Europe, I'm not using my phone. Even if I'm on my smartphone, I'm using Wi-Fi. I'm using my data package in order to make that phone call because it's cheaper than paying for long distance, and the quality seems to be just as good. Plus, I've got all these other functionality things attached where I can send attachments and I can communicate with them in other ways rather than just by voice. So I am wondering if the telephone, as we know it, is extinct. Has it gone the way of the dodo? Is the telephone now a non-starter? I haven't had a landline in my house for over 10 years. Do you still have a landline? Tell me in the comments if you still have a landline. I promise I won't laugh at you much. And if you do have one and you really like having it, tell me that too. Or if you just have it by habit because you're afraid not to, I would love to know the reasons that you have that landline. And are you in agreement with me? Are phones starting to become just irrelevant because of the abuse of the system? And whose responsibility is it to clean it up? I lay it in the telco. You tell me what you think. I would love to see your comments. I'll be reading them all. That's it. Till next time, I am Steve Dotto. Have fun storming a castle. Oh, I was on fire today. Farley, did you catch that? I was on absolute... Farley didn't care. He doesn't care.